Greetings, I'm Demonac, and it's Kraken Week. That's where a bunch of RPG-related YouTubers all make a video relating to ocean or underwater TTRPG stuff as a much more interesting alternative to that one TV channel's week about one single solitary aquatic monster. But less repetitive. And I'm making a 5e Monk Subclass based on the Kua Toa Monitor. Now when I think of the oceans in Deathfin, my D&D setting, my mind immediately goes to the KuoToa, who have split into two powerful nations who control pretty much the whole ocean between them. They have a bunch of obnoxious abilities, like how they naturally see invisible, and in my world, they have crazy alchemical goods, like cheap mass-produced invisibility cloaks powered by their skin secretions, which is extra annoying because if you steal one, you don't produce the chemicals you need to recharge them. But the most terrifying threat they pose to each other and to the surface nations of the world comes from their monitors, the terrifying superpowered monks who serve as spies, assassins, and generally rule the battlefield. In fact, Deathfin, the name of my D&D setting, comes from the Deathfin Monitors, the highest rank, and obviously the deadliest among them. Fans of my work, like Tales from my D&D campaign, probably know I posted a 3.5 edition version of the Monitor Prestige class, including a version balanced 4-player characters, but for Kraken Week, I decided it was high time to build a 5th edition Monk subclass that captures the way each monitor develops their own customized style of supernatural martial arts, even including some fun, extra options for multi-class builds. The biggest problem with this plan is that I think the Monk class in 5th edition is trash. It's just bad. If I wanted to build a martial artist PC myself, I'd rather grab one monk or barbarian level for unarmored AC than use other classes to build a martial character who doesn't suck. But my friend BoneWizard specializes in buffing or straight up fixing bad 5e classes and subclasses, and he already has a video that turns monks into the tough, survivable, unarmed ass kickers they were meant to be. So if you haven't seen it, check out BoneWizard's improved monk. I'll link the video and his Google Doc. That's my starting point. In the world of Deathfin, monitors draw powers both from their training and from the divine blood shared with each KuoToa by Baal the Devourer, formerly known as Blibdulpulp, their goddess of slaughter and the depths. Now, for a player character, you probably need some excuse to train as a monitor, like being a KT, or training under one, finding some ancient monitor scrolls. I'll leave that up to you. At 3rd level, when you choose this subclass, you become a Disciple of Blood, allowing you to recharge your precious ki just by killing stuff. Once per minute, when you reduce an enemy creature to 0 hit points, you may gain a ki point up to your maximum ki. Gain an additional ki point if the creature had more maximum hit points than you. The creature must represent at least some threat to the monk, as determined by the DM. At level 11, double the amount of ki points regained from this feature. So you'll usually get at least an extra ki point per battle, maybe 2, but you'll need some new powers to fuel with all that carnage. So also at level 3, the Arts of Slaughter ability lets you choose a monitor fighting style to give you fun extra options in battle. Spoilers, you get to pick another of these styles each at level 6 and 11, so you can build your own distinctive combination as you level up. Here are the options you have starting at level 3. Brutal Surf style. Your melee attacks deal plus 1d4 damage to objects, undead creatures, and constructs. Before you make a melee attack, you can choose to take a -3 penalty to the attack roll. If you do when the attack hits, you add plus 6 to the attack's damage. And at level 11, your melee attacks ignore resistance to bludgeoning damage, so you can beat the crap out of just about anything. Next is Invincible Shell style. Whenever you use the Deflect Attacks reaction, which in BoneWizard's Monk works against ranged or melee attacks and improves at higher levels, you may spend 1 ki point to gain temp HP equal to your constitution bonus plus 1 roll of your martial arts die, so significant extra tanking. You also get advantage on strength ability checks and saving throws, making you hard to move, and beyond that, anytime you would be physically moved against your will by a spell or ability with no saving throw against the movement, you may make a DC 15 strength saving throw, and if successful, reduce that movement to 0. This does not apply to movement caused by giant hurricanes, earthquakes, a ship sinking, or similar situations at GM's discretion. But you can laugh off a Warlock's Repelling Blast, or the next monitor fighting style, Crashing Waves Style. Whenever you hit a creature with a melee attack, you may choose to do one of the following. For free, you can slide the target 5 feet with no saving throw. This movement does not provoke opportunity attacks, and you may choose to move into the space previously occupied by that creature, which does not count towards your maximum movement for the turn. Or, you can spend 1 key point to force the target to make a strength save. If they succeed, you still push the target 5 feet, but they're safe, you can't follow up. If they fail the save, you may push the target 15 feet, and this movement does provoke opportunity attacks. So when you successfully knock someone back with the key version of Crashing Waves, you and your teammates can just pummel them. Plus, at level 11, any attack you make as a reaction deals additional damage equal to your martial arts die. But wait, we still have 2 more options at level 3. Divine Weapon Style. So the BoneWizard monk learns Dedicated Weapon at first level, allowing you to pick any one weapon on a long rest and make it a special monk weapon for yourself, except weapons with the heavy or special tags. At level 11, that ability improves such that if your dedicated weapon is a magic weapon, you can apply the weapon's properties to your unarmed strikes. So you find a flaming sword, but you want to be martial arts kick guy, not sword guy? No problem. You dedicate that flaming sword, and now you can flaming magical kick monsters as God intended. That is actually very similar to how my old 3.5 edition monitors could add magic weapon properties to their own body. So if your 5e monitor chooses the Divine Weapon Style, you gain that improved dedicated weapon monk class ability early, because it's really no more powerful than a fighter to be able to use the magical loot that you find, right? But then, what happens when you hit level 11, when you would normally gain this ability? At level 11, Divine Weapon Style grants you the following additional abilities. First, you may choose to have 2 dedicated weapons at once. Before each attack, you can choose which weapon's magical properties to use. If either of these weapons requires attunement, that weapon does not count towards your maximum number of attuned items. Second, the number you need to score a critical hit with unarmed or weapon attacks is reduced by 1. In most cases, this allows you to crit on a 19 or 20. Finally, when you score a critical hit with an unarmed or weapon attack, you may apply the magical properties of both dedicated weapons, not just the one you chose for that attack. So if you have dedicated weapons with plus 1d6 fire and with plus 1d4 cold and a debuff, when you get a crit, you get to add the d6, the d4, and the debuff, and then double those elemental dice. As the final monitor fighting style option at level 3, we have Kung Fu Wizard Style. Fans of Tales from My D&D campaign will be familiar with this traditional art of the Blood Mountain Monastery. In the 5e version, you learn a cantrip from the list below. The spellcasting ability for this cantrip is Wisdom. The choices are Acid Splash, Frostbite, Infestation, Lightning Lure, Mind Sliver, Poison Spray, or Sacred Flame. All saving throw cantrips, right? Then, once per round, when you hit with a melee attack, you may spend 1 key point as part of that attack to cast any cantrip you know which allows the target a saving throw. When cast in this way, the cantrip does not require somatic components or a spellcasting focus, but it deals 1 less die of damage, which can result in no additional damage if you're level 4 or lower, though the target must still save against any other effects of the cantrip, like adding Frostbite for disadvantage on their next attack. But since cantrips gain damage dice at levels 5, 11, and 17, pretty soon you can use this ability to add some extra damage as well, costing key, but not costing any kind of action. Additionally, whenever you cast a level 1 or higher spell with a casting time of 1 action, you may make 1 unarmed strike as a free action. Now, most monitors do not have spell castings, so this ability is geared toward multi-class spellcasters, but also works with spells from feats or other sources. But if you don't make use of it, you still get to punch people with Poison Spray or headbutt a Mind Sliver into them. So those are the monitor subclass options at level 3. Then, at level 6, and again at 11, you can choose another one of those fighting styles, but you can now also choose from these additional monitor fighting styles. Not necessarily stronger than the level 3 ones, but for various reasons, they didn't fit well as your first fighting style. First is another classic monitor technique, Instant Movement Style, which gives you an extra reaction each combat round. You just can't use the same reaction twice on the same creature's turn. So you could attack of opportunity 2 different creatures trying to move away from you, but you can't use this to double opportunity the same creature. Monks have cool reactions, especially BoneWizard Monk, so this lets you use more of them, or, say, deflect attacks while still threatening with your attack of opportunity. Additionally, whenever you fail a saving throw roll, you can spend 1 key point to re-roll it and take the second result. Now, without this fighting style, you'd get that saving throw re-roll at level 14. So when you hit level 14 in this class, instant movement style gives you an extra little benefit. When you use your second reaction in a combat round, the next creature which deals damage to you suffers lightning damage equal to your wisdom modifier, minimum 1 damage. This effect does not stack, and dissipates when activated or at the end of combat. Then we have Inescapable Fist style, which does several things. First, when a creature ends its turn next to an ally within 30 feet of you, as a reaction, you may spend 3 ki to swap places with them via teleportation. Second, when you use your Step of the Wind ability, you may spend 1 additional ki point to astral jump, and if you're level 11 in this class, you may then make a free unarmed strike at your destination. To astral jump is to teleport to a location you can see, spending movement equal to the distance teleported. This counts towards abilities that require you to move a specific distance. Finally, when you hit level 17, you may astral jump as a free action any number of times during your turn, as long as you have enough movement to spend. No more walking like a chump. Teleport everywhere. Next, we have Children of Baal style, which is useful for non-Kua monitors who want to embrace Baal and fight underwater, or to help purely aquatic races operate on land. You gain resistance to lightning and cold damage, and you can breathe freely in air and underwater. Plus, whenever you take damage of a type other than slashing, bludgeoning, or piercing, reduce that damage by an amount equal to your wisdom bonus to a minimum reduction of 1. So if you have 20 wisdom, you take 5 less damage from fire, force, psychic, whatever. Then we have Martial Disciple style. Do you want Battlemaster maneuvers within your Monk subclass? This gives you some. It's much stronger than the Martial Adept feat, but weaker than a true Battlemaster fighter, because you can't outshine them at their whole thing. But a few carefully chosen maneuvers can do amazing things for a monk, especially when combined with some of the other monitor fighting styles, like instant movements. You learn 2 Battlemaster maneuvers, plus an extra 1 at 11th, and another at 17th level. You have 2 superiority dice, which are d8s, but you get a 3rd die at 11th level, and they upgrade to d10s at 17th level. Again, enough to be very useful, but not outshine a true Battlemaster. Now there's one last fighting style you can choose. RipTide Style lets you perform powerful combo moves by focusing your attacks on a single target and meeting some other conditions. It's a little more complex than other styles, and has a couple options whose conditions might require abilities outside of this subclass, maybe teamwork with your allies. But if you want a challenge, or just to air combo your opponents, I think you might enjoy it. First, when you hit a particular creature for the 3rd time on the same turn, or miss a particular creature for the 3rd time on the same turn, you get to deal to them bludgeoning damage equal to your martial arts die. That's right, even when you have a crappy round where you flurry of blows and somehow miss all your attacks, you can get a bit of free damage, and whether you hit them 3 times, or missed them 3 times, you get a little bonus effect. On 3 hits or 3 misses, you can either perform a free grapple attempt against the target, or swap places with the target without provoking attacks. Or, if you did get 3 hits on the same target, you can instead do one of these options if you meet an additional condition. If you had advantage on 1 or more of the attacks which hit the creature this turn, you may throw the target off balance. The next attack they hit with, before the end of their next turn, deals only half damage. Or, if you have already moved at least 60 feet this turn, you may crush the target. Until the beginning of your next turn, every attack that hits the target deals plus 1d4 damage to them. Let your allies go to town. Or, if the target is blinded, restrained, frightened, or poisoned, then instead of those other options, you may choose to disrupt the target's reflexes. Until the end of your next turn, if that creature uses any reaction, they suffer psychic damage equal to 2 rolls of your martial arts die. Now, if you think RipTide Style is a little too complicated, has too many options, or you don't like that some of them probably require a friend or a magic item to make them work, then comment BoneWizard was right down below, because that's basically what he said about it, and pick a different style for your monitor monk. But if you think it's cool, like and subscribe to my channel to watch my fully animated adaptation of my Sea of Secrets D&D campaign, and find out what it's like to adventure in a world where the oceans are dominated by 2 powerful KuoToa empires. So, just to summarize, the Monitor Monk subclass gets keyback for killing, you get a cool fighting style each at level 3, 6, and 11 to mix and match, but we've got one ability left, Deathfin Mark. At 17th level, when you hit a creature with a melee attack, as a bonus action, you may spend 4 key points to death mark them, choosing necrotic or radiant damage. The creature may not recover hit points until the end of its next turn. If you death mark a new target, your previous death mark ends. A monitor's death mark requires concentration, like a spell, so you need to make constitution saves not to lose it when you take damage. It lasts up to 1 minute. At the end of each of the creature's turns, if the monitor is within 90 feet, and if that creature has not damaged the monitor that turn, the creature suffers damage of the chosen type equal to 4d6 plus the monitor's wisdom modifier, and the creature cannot recover hit points until the end of its next turn again. When the death mark ends, whether at the end of 1 minute, from marking a new target, or otherwise losing concentration, if the creature is still alive, it becomes immune to death mark from the same monitor for 12 hours. So death mark incentivizes your target to focus on hurting you instead of your allies to prevent the mark from eating away at them, and try to break your concentration, though by this point you have proficiency in con saves and can spend ki to reroll them. You can also try to prevent the damage with deflect attacks, making it even harder for them to escape this ticking clock. Hopefully, all of this captures the essence of monitors in my world, with their wildly varying styles for crushing their foes and accomplishing their missions. Now, enemy monitors as monsters, should be even more dangerous, because as a GM, you probably want to give them individual freak powers, especially if they're high enough level to pass the Deathfin trials, attain that highest rank within the monastery, and gain access to powerful Deathfin scrolls. But anyway, I'll link to the Google Doc in this video's details, as well as BoneWizard's 5th edition buffs document. Lastly, a big thanks to Ginny D and Pointy Hat for creating Kraken Week. There's a whole big playlist of nautical themed videos from your favorite TTRPG YouTubers, so go nuts! And I'll see you next time on Tales from My D&D Campaign. My main videos are all animated retellings of D&D campaigns, and they're made possible only by the generous support of my patrons, like these members of the organization. Thanks so much for making storytelling my job.